Up and down the country, Jeremy Corbyn's foot soldiers are busy fighting their second leadership battle in only a year. For them, their leader has lost none of his lustre.
As you can see, enthusiasm here in York, at least, for Jeremy Corbyn appears absolutely undiminished. They're expecting about 1,000 people here tonight, and it's hard to imagine another politician for whom that could be said. For example, a certain Owen Smith, just down the road in Leeds last night, managed to attract a mere 200 to one of his first rallies.
Well, this is enormous, and it's probably the biggest vote for any leader since the end of the Second World War.
I think he's a real breath of fresh air. I really admire him. I think he's a profoundly British figure. Hostile, radical, hostile to the establishment policy machine. And to actually have a man who believes a party which doesn't have to agree automatically with the government of the day is incredible, it's glorious. And also celebrate him in a way. I mean, I think that we will look back on Mr. Corbyn as a wonderful change to a political system which has got completely atrophied and ceased really to represent the British people.
Not many things make me feel proud to be a Brit, but he makes me feel quite proud, and I just feel like he cares about everyone.
He has the policies that I agree with.
My view is simply he is an honest, authentic politician who has always held his views, expressed them honestly, and continues to do so.
Do you think he's being unfairly attacked, even smeared at the moment?
And there's a collaboration between the mainstream media and the Conservative Party and the massive of Labour MPs to make a whole series, to distort anything intelligent which Mr. Corbyn says. It's such an outrage. That.
Well, that was spinning. That was an example of spinning. Because you were trying to imply that I'd turned it down.
No, that was a joke.
Well,
that's
I think
all
it's
it was.
time
It was a joke.
that you got real and you understood that you're not working for Murdoch at the BBC, because you seem to be following the same pattern.
Dennis Skinner, thanks for clarifying that. Thank you very much. Back to you.
His foreign policy stuff is fascinating. Let's remember he was right about Iraq. More recently, he was right about Libya. He was only one about 12 or 13, I think, MPs voted against the Libya debacle.
Joined now by Dennis Skinner, the MP for Bolsover, who's found himself in the lobby with Jeremy Corbyn on some of those key votes, one of only 13 in the vote against invasion of Afghanistan, against participation in Libya.
And again, Jeremy Corbyn has been right about the great foreign policy issues of the day.
David Davis is a former minister and former chairman of the Conservative Party, of course, and joins me now. And
you know, you've just had Frank Field on talking about how Jeremy, in other circumstances, is able to work with other people. You know?
You've worked with him, haven't you?
Yeah, I worked with him on the Shaka Amir case, you know, on a Guantanamo Bay case, and he's very polite, very courteous, listens to arguments. So we've got to be a bit careful. We certainly don't want to go in for ad hominem attacks. That would be a disaster. But we should also recognise something else, and it's come up a bit in your programme already. You know, he is a part of a worldwide syndrome going on here. You know, people saying, you know, we don't actually like conventional politics. We don't like the managerial politics. It hasn't done us very much good. We've lost money. We've lost our jobs. You know, we're suffering from austerity. You know, that appeals to a lot of people, many of whom probably didn't even vote in the last election.
And you know, but I think that's right now he is galvanising political support, and he is engaging people in politics that previously had never bothered with politics. He's getting teenagers interested in politics, teenagers queuing up to get to his meetings. Regardless of what happens with the election campaign and with the future you know, of the leader of their party, what he's doing now is brilliant. It's brilliant that so many people are getting engaged in politics.
Jeremy Corbyn and the press are all being terribly rude about him. At least he says what he believes. And I think Labour Party members are looking at Corbyn and saying, at least this bloke's authentic.
Do you honestly think that you will be an MP under a fifth Labour Prime Minister, Jeremy Corbyn?
I think it could well happen. I mean, I remember that way back in 1945, nobody countenanced the idea that Clem Attlee would be a Prime Minister, and that Churchill, who had seemingly won the war according to the media, would be defeated, but they had a majority of about 140. And they built the NHS, and they built council houses, and the unemployment at the end of 5 years was 2.2%. That was on a left-wing ticket.
I think he's a very decent, good person. I've followed his career for some years. They should ask me to vote. I would vote for him.
So Jeremy Corbyn, by the way. Yes, big time. I like the idea of people telling the truth. I like them to get to the bottom of things, really. I think he would make a great PM.
I think Jeremy Corbyn's the person to watch, and I say thank on the behalf of the planet, thank the universe for Jeremy Corbyn. I think he can make a difference. He's a hope. He's a hope.
Jeremy Corbyn, he's mad, isn't he? With his railing against austerity and being against the Iraq war, which we definitely should have done, and being against bombing Syria and opposing benefit caps and warning against the dangers of immigration controls and wanting to scrap Trident and wanting to provide free education for young British people and challenging sexism and thinking half of MPs should be women and that the cabinet should be elected, and believing in renationalising energy companies and rail companies so they could be correctly regulated in harmony with the ecology, and wanting to bring in rent controls in London and build 240,000 more homes each year and reduce deficit with a progressive tax and reintroduce 50% higher rate tax for high earning people, and disagreeing with the monarchy but saying he won't fight it.
I'm very torn. I mean, the Labour Party have been useless actually on green issues, but I think Corbyn's quite sound on them. But I think he is very sound, and that he would be very intelligent and he would be willing to face the transition that we're all going to have to face.
And do you think Labour could get into power with Jeremy Corbyn?
Yeah, I do.
You look at this huge and very fast and unpredicted uprising of supporters that he had during the Labour leadership. Could that be carried on into a general election? Is Jeremy Corbyn a man who could win a general election in this country?
Yes, and we have to face up to that reality.